Hello, I'm Dennis Pullin. One of my favorite parts about being president and CEO of Virtua Health is getting to know our colleagues and the many ways they are here for good. Each person contributes to healthy communities, and each person has a story to tell. Let's meet one. So Terry, thanks for joining us on Here for Good.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Listen, so sterile processing is arguably one of the lesser known aspects of healthcare. Not many people know a lot about it, but it is truly essential to everything that we do, our operations. For those that don't know really what sterile processing is, what would you say?
So sterile processing to me is a department in the hospital that is tasked with cleaning, sterilizing, and distributing surgical instruments throughout the hospital.
And so you have obviously a team to do this. Tell me a little bit about your team.
I'm over two hospitals, Virtua Health and Virtua Willingboro, which is comprised of 36 staff members. And my team is a hardworking team. So everything is not always perfect. We can try to forecast our day to how it's going to be to the best of our abilities. But when we come into work, it's always a new challenge.
Now, how long have you been over this team?
So I've been over the team for about a year and a half now. And I enjoyed every day of it. I was tasked with changing the department and changing the culture of the department. And I think we're in a good space now.
What makes a good team in your mind?
So what makes a good team is when everyone is on board with the mission of the department, when everyone is involved in the process, and when everyone can learn from each other and grow with each other.
So you also mentioned changing the culture. Is there anything about the culture, Virtua's culture, that sort of stands out for you or that's really different from other places you've worked?
Virtua, to me, I feel like the culture of Virtua is more of a family environment. So you can walk through the halls, you see everyone in the hospital for the most part. So
it's something you can feel. You just how people interact with each other, and it's noticeable. When you're interviewing people that's going to ultimately fit into this culture, what do you look for when you're interviewing somebody or you're trying to onboard somebody?
So when I interview someone, I'm looking for them to be teachable. I'm looking for them to be trustworthy. I'm looking for them to be able to adapt to change. Every day is not going to be the same, so I need an employee who I can put in one place and then move them to another place so that way we can make sure we get the job done.
Is there something unique about a person that you can sort of tell when you're interviewing them if they're going to be that flexible person that you're talking about, somebody that you may be able to pivot to another role or area?
So I'm looking and I want them to tell me about themselves. So that's an important part for me in the interview. When they tell me about themselves, they tell me about their past experiences. They tell me about the hardships and how they overcame those hardships. And that's important to me because depending on the road that it took for you to get there, if I can see that you're adaptable, you're dependable, I think that's a good fit for my team.
So you mentioned you like to have people tell you about themselves. Speaking of themselves, I've heard that you achieved something unique in your industry space that is a rare feat in your field. You have achieved what is called the Golden Crown.
Yes.
I'm not familiar with that. I'm sure many of our viewers may not be as familiar with that. First of all, what is it?
So the Golden Crown, the certification body that I'm certified through, HSPA, they have 4 certifications. So the first initial certification is CRCST, Certified Registered Central Service Technician.
Okay.
So the next certification would be a Certified Instrument Specialist. Following would be a Certified Healthcare Leader, and then finally a Certified Endoscope Reprocessor.
And then that's considered the Golden Crown?
Yes, sir. Having all 4, it basically says that I'm committed to my field, I'm knowledgeable about my field, and I'm an expert in my field.
How do people get to sterile processing? I mean, it's not something that the average individual may hear about. High school kids may not know about. College kids may not know about. How do people really find their way into the sterile processing area?
So sterile processing, like you said earlier, it is little known. So a lot of times you have to find your way in sterile processing through word of mouth. And maybe they thought it was a good opportunity for a family member.
I'm sure that you also have a life outside of Virtua. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Do you have a family?
Yes, sir. So I have 3 wonderful kids, a 17-year-old son who is at 12th grade in high school. I have a 10-year-old daughter, and I have a 3-year-old daughter who keeps us all busy.
That's a spread.
Yes.
Did you do that on purpose? I mean, you have one in 3 different decades.
Yeah, so I didn't do it on purpose. However, I appreciate it because it allows me to kind of see the transition of a child from a toddler to a preteen to a man. And it allows me to kind of appreciate the development that each child is in at this moment. So I just try to make sure I'm always there for my kids and make sure I'm there for my family and just show them the life that I had. And I want to share that also with them.
And that's special. I think that's all that any of us could hope for, is for our kids to have things better than what we had, and for you to be a great example. Do you think any of them will eventually find their way into healthcare? Well, the 3-year-old may be a little early, but the other 2?
So my son, he's currently, as I said, transitioning into a man. So he helps me with some of my outside activities involving sterile processing. So it's my hope that maybe he does want to follow in my footsteps. But if he does, it's there for him. If he doesn't, then I support whatever he wants.
Do you think there is leadership in his future?
Yes, it's natural. My father was a leader. I'm a leader, so it's only right that he follows in our footsteps.
Well, that is absolutely the reason you're on the show today. I want to thank you for coming in, the leadership that you provide, and the little known but much needed Department of Sterile Processing truly does make a difference for Virtua.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
So we've had the opportunity to speak yet with another exciting colleague within Virtua. Tune in as we continue to explore the many facets of Virtua Health.